like, how can I express myself in a better way and be myself without having these limitations I set myself. So now let's talk about a few things. Point number one is some lovely people on the internet. Can you turn around? Don't show your butt to the internet. I think I found, finally, my photography niche. There, I said it. Now it's true. If it's on the internet, it's true, right? I always struggled with color. I always had a problem to find my own style within color. I always use presets by YouTubers, other photographers, and adjusted them a little bit, or try to get like the look of Instagram influencers, photo influencers, if you want to name it, or photographers on Instagram. And I never felt like it's my work. It's always like this typical problem I think probably a lot of people have. It's like it always looked like a bad copy of someone else's work. I spent so much time, years, thinking I have to fit in a certain role. Like, who have thought that I was never the cool kid in school or someone else, meaningful in my opinion, because of a lot of things. I was a small guy, I had a weird family, or things happening in the family. I had like this, it's called Mund-Kiefer-Gaumenspalte in German. I will put in the explanation, especially like at birth I was missing like a part of my upper jaw, and yes, always struggle to fit in and stuff. So I went with point two through my own work through time, and as I already said, I felt always very drawn to like black and white and monochrome stuff, and just like especially like more moody photography. Like kind of, not dark and twisted, not that kind of moody, but more like a little bit sad. Like a little bit sad. So like that's probably the best explanation for that. And I went in therapy like nearly 25 years now. I'm 25. But I realized just lately, over the years, it was a process, but lately there was like a click. Don't fit in. You don't fit in. Why don't you just accept, after years and years and years, that you don't fit in? I always was told like you had to survive in a certain way, you have to be like really fit to a certain society, to certain people, to like, there are so many cool and tough guys, even if they're in this niche scene I was in, but like this hardcore punk scene, and even if they tell everyone like it's not about the image, it's not about this and this, it is. I don't know why, but in some ways, especially there it is, and they all were problematic as fuck, to be honest. And just lately, with like having like rehab last year for health issues, again and again and again, and now switching again things in life, I just thought like, why don't I try this time, like when like going full savage me. So, I wanted to avoid the biggest mistakes I ever made in photography and just start doing with what I feel most comfortable in. And that's simply black and white photography, especially in certain niches, and that's like where I come from, where I spent my youth and where I still am. And that's subculture, like portraits, stories, live shows, bands, everything what is in like this certain kind of subcultures I grew up with, and that gave me back in the day a lot of energy, motivation, backup, like just a scene I tend to feel very safe in. For some self-care reasons, I should embrace myself more. Yeah, obviously there are like boundaries because of the world we live in, but like, why shouldn't I shoot pictures the way I want? Really the way I want them to look like. Like, I'm not a very happy guy overall. I seem pretty happy and funny most of the time, but why shouldn't my art reflect that? Why should I try to fit into this whole photography bubble, like especially here local, like in this clean beige thing, or in this really trendy analog photography looking like style? Like, why don't I do my thing, my own style? Why should I embrace more the actually artists I'm inspired from? And that's a part of myself too. And then was problem 3 there with breaking that barrier to just commit. Like, I looked at work from famous photographers from back in the day, looked at a lot of photography history, and I thought, like, if I'm so drawn to a certain type of photography like black and white and monochrome, why shouldn't I embrace it overall? At first I thought, like, yeah, just the private stuff, but no, I said, why should I bow down to like this capitalistic need in fulfill a certain role I'm not happy in? You know, I think it's now time for making like a video talking, especially for myself, like this whole YouTube channel is my coping mechanism, that I made a really big decision for myself, and that's standing up for myself. And I will explain why and how I do this. You know, get a little bit of a movement in here. The dog is already bored. For the longest time, I thought, as I said, I have to fit in all these niches and all these. I have to be like one of those other people. We have, as humans, I think, a certain desire to fit in, because otherwise we're pretty lonely. Therefore, I struggled a lot with finding my own thing to do. I always wanted to be like all the other people, like a successful photographer, like an artist, a musician, and I always had the feeling like all the other people have success and I don't. And this is not good for the self-esteem, to be honest. But then over the time of therapy and everything else, I noticed I have actually I made a pretty decent turn in seeing myself more. That's right. Okay, let's go there. And all the therapy finally worked on the medication. Yeah, and that's the whole update. This whole video about. And this is like the journey of me hopefully becoming and staying a full black and white monochrome photographer. And yes, and yes, I want to embrace that identity, this subcultural hardcore punk metal moody kind of stuff, like with portraits, with even street photography, like getting out there, talking to people, telling stories, being on the road, everything like this, and living a certain lifestyle. Yeah, I want to reflect that more, and I want to show that more, and I want to embrace this identity more. You know, back when I started photography, being like a little bit more creative, I had a very interesting conversation with someone. And it was about why was your Instagram all black and white? Are you colorblind? And back then I thought this was a pretty dumb question, but nowadays I think not different. There are actually some people in this world that actually just see black and white, but it's really, really rare, but they exist. Where the heck am I? Yes, but it was interesting because it was like, is it so different to shoot everything in black and white? And then I found like stuff on the internet, like especially this whole Peter McKinnon bubble and everything, like what has been their name? Something Dope Squad? Like, and I was trying to have that look because I found those people really cool, they were successful, and they have these rich colors and stuff like that. And then I got into this, and a friend of mine did landscape photography in color and everything else. But after years and years doing like this style of photography, I noticed that I'm missing something actually. And now after so much time, so actually late in my life to be honest, like I'm a full grown-up person, I realized that the problem wasn't particularly my view on things or my view of this world, especially in an artistic way, but the expectations I had on myself, the image I had of myself, who I should be, what art should I do, what I should do in life. And that's a pretty nice, really good feeling to have. It's like a soft pillow catching you up. And I really like that. That's a nice feeling. Like that little bit of sun we now have after winter. Like, oh, it's so poetic today, like it's so self-reflective video. We have sun, we have vitamin D coming out again, talking about feelings on the internet. If that isn't nice content, I don't know what is. You fun? So, and yes, now I'm gonna work on some edits of some jobs I did lately already in this niche. Probably saw some pictures of it throughout the video, and yeah, you can like, comment and subscribe if you want to. Until the next video, goodbye.